Hey guys, welcome back to the reaction video. Today we are watching Regretful Parents Are Going Viral. Here's what I think, and I want to know what he thinks, so let's watch.
Sometimes on this show, I like to read questions and quandaries from the clueless souls on the internet, especially Reddit, and try my best to provide them with a little bit of guidance. And that was the plan that I had for this segment, but then my producer, McKenna, suggested that I go to the subreddit called Regretful Parents to find some fodder. I did as she recommended, and I can report that it is one of the most depressing places I've ever encountered on the internet, which is obviously saying a lot. Just post after post after post of parents who view their children as nothing but a burden. And I thought, well, I'm not going to attempt to talk about this on the show. It's so bleak and so horrific. But then I decided that maybe I might have a useful thing or two to say to these people. Sadly, a sizable number of parents feel this way. We like to think that, well, no one ever regrets having kids. Actually, they do. And when that happens, it is a terrible thing. Terrible for the kids, most important. So I'm going to start by reading a few of the posts or snippets of posts. I hate mothering. I enjoy maybe 1% of it. It's given me misery on top of pain every single day since she was born. Giving birth was medieval torture. I don't like playing with her. I don't like talking to her. I don't like taking her to the park. I can barely think about anything I enjoy with her. Maybe cooking for her, I don't even know. Another says, my kids are 1 and 3 and they took away everything I enjoyed. I'm going through the wildest mental and physical.
Having two toddlers is kind of tough though. Like, it takes a physical and mental toll on you. Everybody might want to act like, happy, dandy, everything is cool, everybody's happy, everything is fantastic. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that for everybody. Everybody has different experiences. Some people have a harder time with it. Some people have a harder time coping with, the changes of having kids. Some people, for them, it's not what they thought that was going to be. It doesn't make anybody bad. It's just that despite having those feelings, do they give an adequate care for the child? I mean, mothers will be the most beat up people, and they'll be the type of people I'll see smiling and happy like nothing happened in front of their kids, even when they're feeling 110% crappy. So, if you have two screaming kids screaming at you all day and they're crying and they're miserable, obviously that's going to make you miserable and that's going to make you regret things. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. I think it's unfair to expect mothers to be happy with what they've done all the time. And I think it's a healthy thing to have a space where they can vent in the moments where they feel like, they feel like this. I think that space was a good space for them.
Challenges of my life. I had goals and dreams that are not realistic anymore. All my favorite activities are replaced by draining micro tasks, and it's grinding me to my knees every day. Someone else says, if I only knew this subreddit existed, I probably could have avoided the biggest regret of my life, which is becoming a mother. I feel so tied up. I want to get education. I want to work and travel. I want to live again and fall in love with life again. I used to travel a lot back in my early 20s. I always took part in some exchange programs in Europe and got to see a lot. I met amazing people. My son's about to be 3 and I'm just not having it. I've been contemplating just leaving them and starting my life somewhere else. Another post says, I hate my children, both of them. They're 2 and 1 and I hate every single second they're awake. I can't sleep peacefully. I can't.
Notice that these are all like close range parents of toddlers. It's tough. It's tough when you have two crazy kids that are hard to discipline because of their age and their ability to understand what you're trying to discipline them on. It's hard. It's tough. I mean, I feel bad for these people, but what can you do? You just cope with it, and then you just smile and you push on until another day. But it gets better. Once they start going to school, once you start developing your own life, once everything doesn't become so around them anymore because they're going to school for a little bit, and it gives you enough time to breathe on your own, it makes you feel better. What I was thinking when I do have kids eventually is that like by the age of 2, I'm gonna enroll them in daycare because they get to have that social experience. They learn language development. They teach them like other educational materials and stuff like that, so it's good for them to go to daycare. They learn socialization early, all of that, and it also gives me a little bit of a break so I don't feel overwhelmed. So I mean, daycare is a really good option, but it's an expensive option. Not everybody can afford that, and I understand that. It really takes a village to raise kids. Like, even even if you can have somebody like a friend, or somebody super trusted to watch them for a couple hours and just have some me time, even if it's within the house, you just get to go to the bedroom and just de-escalate, and they could watch your kids for you, like with the rest of the house, while being in the rest of the house. Something like, everybody needs their me time, and the fact that I can understand how overwhelming it can be to have a 2 and 1 year old, and or like a 3 and 1 year old just consuming your life. I can understand how frustrating it could be. If they're 3, I feel like they're old enough to go to daycare, but like I said, that's not an option for everybody. But everybody needs some me time. Being consumed, like, it's just so overwhelming. I can completely understand these women.
I can't even take it peacefully. I'm tired of this life. I'm the only one with them 24/7. I'm so sick of it. My partner is useless. All he says is they're babies and something's wrong with me. How could I dislike my own children? In a similar vein, someone says, my daughter just turned 5 and I was already regretful about having her and having no love for her. We treat her well and I say I love her and all that jazz to not mess up her childhood, but she has now been diagnosed with selective mutism, which is a type of anxiety disorder where she can't speak in public or to anyone outside her immediate family. Her teacher says she doesn't speak a word at school and her peers keep asking her why she doesn't talk. I already hated life as a parent, now I have to deal with psychologist appointments. What a joke of a life I've gotten myself into.
Okay, no, I don't like this comment. I don't like this comment. If your child has special needs, it doesn't become about you and what you need and the appointments you have to go to. You really have to become the like sensitive to the child's needs. And I don't like this comment though. Like, if you're overwhelmed because you got 2 toddlers in the house and they're running amok, like, sure, yeah, no, that's overwhelming. I mean, I can't deny that. I don't think anybody can. I mean, not having even enough you time to go use the restroom, like, I could 100% understand. I fully understand how that could be overwhelming. But this, like, you have like a child with anxiety that's experiencing mutism, and you're kind of being fussy about going to appointments and having to manage that, like, that's kind of like
So these have mostly been mothers so far with these posts, but there are also some dads are on the forum. I'll read one of those just to be egalitarian about it. Just day after day after day, and it never ends and it never changes. Incessant bickering, screaming, slapping, kicking, biting, fighting over every possible tiny goddamn little thing. When all my attempts for diplomacy fail and I finally snap and yell at them to stop, they act absolutely shocked and hurt by how mean dad is, and it works. I end up feeling terrible and apologizing to them, and on and on and on it goes. My brain and nerves are completely shot. I don't understand how they seem to thrive in that level of dysfunction. I know kids are dramatic and all, but I know I was never like that as a kid. It's bonkers. A lot of frustration there, to put it mildly. I understand parenting frustration. I don't understand hating your kid, or most of
the frustration and inability to control them and inability to discipline leads to hating your kid, because they run your life and it will drive you crazy. I don't have any to, like, I don't have any of my own to say anything to parents or give advice, but like, I mean, when it becomes my turn, honestly, discipline at a young age. Like, if you throw a tantrum, your needs are not going to be met. Like, if you want whatever that need was at the time, like if you wanted a tablet and you threw a tantrum, the tablet is gone. Until you can compose yourself and speak properly, that tablet is gone. And imposing timeouts and, like, taking away things like that. um I mean, you have to be in control of the situation, not the kids, because if the kids start running stuff, you're gonna start resenting them, and this is the kind of feeling it develops. I kind of like this forum where people can vent out their true feelings and how they feel in the moment. In the moment, you can hate your kid, but it doesn't mean you hate them forever. But right now, you're like, "Ooh, I wish I didn't have them. I hate them." I feel like those feelings are understandable. I feel like every parent probably has gone through them, but not a lot would admit it.
What we just read there, but frustration, sure. When you have, as we did, 2 sets of twins, 6 kids total, you experience frustration. Our last set of twins were both colicky as infants. If you know anything about colic in an infant, you know that we dealt with about 6 months of constant crying, morning, noon, and night, from 2 babies while also having 4 other kids to take care of. Now, I'm not saying that that's the hardest parenting experience anyone's ever had, but it's definitely not entry-level stuff that we were dealing with. So I've been in the trenches, and therefore I think I have some credibility to say the things that I'm going to say to all of these people and anyone who might find themselves relating to what I just read. First, a lot of parents who feel this level of anger and despair to the point of actually regretting having kids, it's at least partly because their kids are out of control and totally unruly. The kids are running the house, bouncing off the walls, ruling the roost, and you're at wit's end. Here's the good news about it, and it will sound like bad news, but it's actually good news, is that it's your fault. It's totally your fault. You are 100% to blame. Your kids are out of control because you are out of control. And I don't mean that you're yelling and screaming and losing your temper, though you might be. But even when you have your temper in check, you're still being ruled by your emotions. You are, I'm going to assume, angry, sullen, visibly overwhelmed, overcome by frustration. Well, the problem is that your kids pick up on that. They see it. And it's not just that they're imitating your lack of emotional regulation, though they are. More importantly, they see that you are projecting a lack of control, a loss of command, and they lose respect for you and your rules as a result. And that's natural. When a leader seems flustered, his followers become disturbed. And if this state of
they can't rely on you to give direction. So like if it's like the same thing with my dog, like if I don't have constant discipline and control over her, if she feels a moment of weakness for me, she can't trust me as her leader. Like it's kind of like that. They won't trust you like as their leader, or like they won't respect you as their leader if you're easy to break down, you know?
being flustered continues or happens over and over again, eventually they lose faith in his ability to lead. People who listen to my show know that I'm kind of a nerd about reading stories of explorers. Sometimes in these stories, something that happens are mutinies. And very often a mutiny happens because you've got a ship full of men in some uncharted part of the world, and if the men on the ship whose lives depend on the captain, if they perceive that the captain doesn't know what he's doing, is afraid, is frustrated, indecisive, overwhelmed by the responsibility that he has taken on, if the men on the ship notice that, if they perceive it, they lose faith in his leadership, and then there's a mutiny. So what's happening in some of these households is your kids it's a mutiny. They're staging a mutiny, although their reasons behind it are mostly unconscious for the kids. Now, what makes this good news is that it's very fixable. All you have to do is put on a convincing front. Fake it till you make it, as some very wise philosopher once said. Project the appearance of being in control, of being in command, of being unbothered, of being unflustered, happy, good-humored. You don't have to feel that way. Just pretend that you feel that way. And yes, it is a virtue to fake it in those cases. This idea that we should never, we need to be true to ourselves and be honest about our emotions. No, you shouldn't be. In fact, you should not be honest about your emotions most of the time. Like, most of what you're feeling should not be known to the people around you, and especially when you're a parent. And you combine that attitude, or the appearance of that attitude, with consistent guidelines, clear rules, and clear consequences for breaking the rules, and you'll no longer have this level of dysfunction in your home. Your children will not be in a constant state of war with each other and you. And you may be able to enjoy their company and your own life as a consequence. Like many of you this summer, I intend to spend more time with my family, getting outside, traveling, letting go of some of my routine. But one routine I won't be letting go of, aspects that make them unhappy. That seems so basic that it doesn't even need to be said, but it's a basic thing that we often lose sight of. And this especially applies to parenting. If you're an unhappy parent, it's because you're choosing to focus on all of the things that you want to do but can't because you have kids, and the things that you have to do but don't want to do. For the people who wrote these laments that I just read, this focus for them has become obsessive. All they can think about is the stuff they don't want to have to do, but they have to do, and the stuff that they would prefer to do but they can't do.
But like, I feel like it's also a healthy thing to have a space to complain about it. What these parents are doing, there's nothing wrong with it. You're flustered, you're angry. Voicing it, if voicing it deflates you, if voicing it online deflates you, if you have a forum where you can express yourself and let it out on, take a breather on, you could do that. I fully understand that, but you cannot break in front of your children, though. Like, they need discipline, they need a forefront, they need a foundation, they need stability, they need a good charge. So you need to have that available for the kids. But in a moment where you feel like it's just hitting the fan, just go to these forums and then express yourself. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They're just venting their frustration, and they feel like They hate their lives in the moment. If you feel that way, even if it's just a momentary feeling, there's nothing wrong with expressing that. Go in these forums and do that, but make sure you do not lose your your you know ability to lead in front of your kids. Don't show it in front of your kids. Don't show that they're cracking you. But when you're after they go to sleep, or like when you're in the moment after you have the situation under control, you can vent about it.
And so they're just whining all the time in their heads and now on Reddit. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it anymore. This is hard. I don't want to have to do these things. I want to travel. Look, it's a choice that you have made to focus your attention on those things. There are so many things in life you could focus on, and you decided to focus on the fact that you can't travel to Europe or whatever. So your unhappiness is a choice. You've decided to be miserable and wallow in your misery. And you could stay there forever, wallowing in it if you want, and then you'll be unhappy and miserable your whole life.
Because like women feel like it's like if they don't have kids now, they miss their time. If they don't have kids now, they have them too late. They tire out. If their clock is ticking, whatever. It's like they're under pressure to, like, a lot of women feel under pressure to have like kids and a family, but is that really what they want? It's just it's a tough position to be in, that like he can't really speak on, this guy respectively. He can't really speak on that because he doesn't know what that pressure is like. Oh, you need to have kids after so and so years. Your eggs are no good. After so and so years, your kid will have this kind of complications if you have them at that time. After so and so years, you will have these complications if you have those kids too late. And like, it's not like you can wait forever. You can wait until the age of 60 to have kids, and they'll be 20 by the time you're 80 and it's all set. It's like for a woman, it's a different kind of pressure, so they feel the need to have a kid now and try, like, it's like, there's just a special pressure to have kid. It's like, are you sure you don't want a kid? It's like having a mini you, da 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 da, all this and all that. And then a lot of women fall under that pressure, and a lot of the times these women want to have these kids young because there's a lot that goes into it, and having a kid later for you and the child, there's a lot of risks. So I mean, young meaning, like at a stable age, but young, like younger than 40. A lot of these women have them at that age because they feel the pressure of the timeline of either having, health risks for you and your kid, if you have it later, or like, yeah. I don't want to go, over the same point over and over again, but like, it's not like you could say, it's easy for you to say, for a person who's decided a certain path, for you to say in somebody else's situation, hey, you regret having kids. Look at you. You should have never had them. You don't know what their mentality was at that time. So it's like, we all go through a point of regret at times, and it's just how we come out of them, right? I don't know. I just hate to judge those women because I know like how it would feel to have, the pressure of having kids, especially before a certain time. I kind of myself feel that way because right now I feel I'm at a good place financially, like family wise, and my hubby's great, my family's willing to help. I'm at a perfectly good place to have kids now, but I still feel a sense of selfishness with my time. So I'm like, maybe in the next 2 years, I'm still young. I'm still at the age where there wouldn't be too many risks for my children. Like, um, they tell you after 40, this, that, and the other. I'm not nowhere near there yet. And like, I can have my kids, a couple of years later, and everything will be fine. I can have my me time. I can see how I feel then. But then it's like you have the pressure from your family or your spouse, or like from another part of you that tells you like, like, have your kid now. What's the point of waiting? You're getting married. It's gonna happen anyways. This and that and the other. It's just a lot of back and forth, and sometimes, it's just it's a tough decision for me because I don't know. Like, I want kids now just to like get it over with, have the kids, whatever. You're already married, you might as well start a family. Why not, before you get too old? But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, like, my time is about to be consumed with all these things that I gotta do, like these people. So it's like, a whole bunch of back and forth, and you make your decision after considering, uh, what you think and how you feel about things, but sometimes we end up regretting those decisions. Um, I honestly don't know where I stand, so I don't know about having kids anytime soon until I know where I fully stand. But I know even after I make up my mind, I can always regret it. I mean, I understand these women because I'm like stuck in an in between space about kids. But luckily enough for me, I haven't had them yet, so I still have the ability to be selfish with my time. But unfortunately, these women made a choice. But I can understand them regretting it though.
Life. In the process, you'll alienate everybody around you. Your kids will grow to resent you and want nothing to do with you. And then they'll get older and they'll be adults and they won't be as difficult anymore. And you're going to want to have a relationship with them at that point because it's easy now because they're out of the house. And they're going to have grandkids and you're going to want to see the grandkids because grandkids are easy.
I can understand you having a tough time with your kid and having tough days, but it's different to push that anger out on them. You have to be able to swallow that and just provide the best care that you could provide. I feel like a lot of people experiencing these kinds of situations are gentle parenters that are sweet to their children, and they lack discipline anyways. And I don't feel like those kids are gonna grow up with us as much of resentment towards their parents because they were raised by gentle parenters or parenters that didn't control them as much or that didn't know how to control them. So I don't think they're gonna feel resentment towards their parents, but their parents are gonna like feel so deflated in the process of raising them. You know what I mean?
But your kids are not going to want to have that relationship. And you're going to spend the rest of your life feeling victimized. Oh, my kids ignore me. They don't come over. They don't bring the grandkids over. Why should they? You were awful to them. You did the bare minimum their whole childhood. You put no effort in. Like you fed them and clothed them. You have to do that. But you had a bad attitude about it the entire time. You made the home an excruciating environment for them to live in. You spent the whole time.
Like one of the parents even said, "Hey, we avoid trying the one with the mutism. She says she provides her a good life. They avoid trying to like show her the difficulties. They can't help the difficulties that they're having, the emotions that they're feeling, but it's just you have to contain it when you're raising kids. Make sure that it doesn't rub off on the children. It doesn't always work to not rub it off on the children, but you have to try the best that you can so this kind of stuff doesn't happen."
Whining. Why the hell would they want a relationship with you? A relationship with who? There's no relationship here. So that's how it can go if you choose.
They don't want
to. The only
their
person
kids.
who can choose otherwise is you. The only person who can fix the problem is you. Nobody else can. Your kids certainly can't. Now, I've never felt like I regretted being a parent, nor have I ever had feelings of hatred towards my children, for God's sake. But I have experienced anger, frustration, sadness as a parent. I have thrown plenty of pity parties for myself, like any parent does, because my parenting duties require me to do stuff I don't want to do and don't allow me to do the stuff that I do want to do. So I get that. Like, I've been there. And I found that the way out of it is pretty simple. It's just about redirecting my attention. I can choose to redirect it or not. It really is up to me.
But in the moment that you feel that, if they want to go on Reddit and rant and vent, who's to say they're wrong?
So here's a relatable example, one that is millions of parents encounter something like this every day. So I get home from work most days around 5:30 or 6. Contrary to popular opinion, I actually work long days, and I work hard, believe it or not. Media is a stressful gig, and then I sit in traffic for 45 minutes. It's not that bad. A lot of people sit in traffic for longer, but still, 45 minutes in traffic. And then I come home to a house full of kids who are talkative and needy and wanting my attention. So every time I walk in the door, every day, I have a choice to make, and it's a very distinct choice. It's so distinct that it may as well be two different doors I'm walking. There's the happy door, or the annoyed, overwhelmed, sad door. I'm either a stressed out, sad sack forced to come home to a noisy house with a bunch of needy kids who won't give me a chance to decompress, damn it, or I'm an incredibly blessed man, privileged to come home each night to a lively home full of fun, rambunctious children and a wife who loves me. I could be either one of those. It's completely up to me. And the thing is, when I walk in the door, the environment, what I'm walking into, is the same. It is entirely up to me how I choose to perceive it. And if I choose the sad, miserable door, I have no one to blame but myself. My third point, and this goes to really, this is advice, universal advice for everybody. Stop venting. okay? You've done enough venting. And I know everybody says that we have to vent. We have to release our tension in the form of these self-pitying, overly dramatic sessions. And if we don't, we'll explode or something. But that's bull. Forums like this Reddit forum, they should not exist. These are awful places.
I don't agree with that. Like, I think venting when you feel it is so good for you. It helps you release that tension so you can redirect yourself much more easily. There's nothing wrong with that. If it makes you a whiny little B word, I guess it does. But I'm going to be a whiny little B word on Reddit and, release so that I can present my best self to my children. In a moment of annoyance, I can redirect myself in that way, or I can redirect myself, manage myself, solve the solution, and just vent to somebody. It's okay to have somebody to talk to. I don't agree with that advice.
Having a place to anonymously voice your darkest and most unspeakable emotions and thoughts in order to then be assured by other anonymous people that it's totally normal to feel that way and to be encouraged in your basest impulses and most dysfunctional modes of...
It is alright to feel frustrated with parenting as long as you continue to love and care for your kids. It's normal. You say you feel frustrated with your 6 kids sometimes. It's okay for a parent to feel that and not just have to hold it in and be able to vent it on Reddit anonymously at that. Why not? Why not?
Thought is bad. The advice is terrible. I mean, it's just awful. There was one post, her young son is about to be his birthday.
Sometimes I don't even want to hear advice. I just want to vent. That's what people are for. They just want to vent. It's not about the advice. I just want to vent and have somebody hear me out, or just vent and put it out there and just log off. That's what I want to do sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let nobody tell you there's something wrong with that. Get it off your chest.
And she's not happy about his birthday and not excited about it. Which again, it's like, okay, so you're not excited about his birthday. Deal with it. Like, it's his birthday, it's not yours. Pretend you're excited, damn it.
I'm sure she did that, but she went to vent about it. There's nothing wrong. You could do both. You could do both. You can vent on Reddit and just connect with people in that way, and still just put on a front and be happy, be out there and enjoy yourself. Why can't you do both? You can't multitask both. You can't. Why wouldn't you be able to? I don't know.
Stop being selfish. But one of the pieces of advice was, well, on the day of his birthday party, just leave the house and have some time to yourself. Don't tell anyone, just leave and come back at night. Like, this is your advice?
I mean, you pick and choose what you want to listen to. Some people don't even go in for advice. Some people just go in to vent. It's a healthy area to go into vent for. You don't. Obviously, a lot of people's common sense, they know not to follow every advice on the internet. But it's a healthy. If there's a healthy area for you to vent in and voice your opinion, yeah, do it. I'm all for it. I don't agree with his advice here.
The worst possible thing, you abandon your child on their birthday because you're sad. This is what you get from these forums. And the reason that you get it is because the people that are there leaving comments, they are not encouraging you or trying to reassure you. They're trying to reassure themselves.
Why do you think everybody wants advice when they vent to begin with? Some people just want to vent. There's nothing wrong with that. Just go and do it. And sometimes when I say stuff, like when I say stuff to my hubby, I tell him, hey, I'm not looking for feedback. I'm not looking for a response. I just want somebody to hear me, and that's it. Sit down and listen to what I have to say and just hear me out. And he does that for me. And, that's what venting is. I mean, it's not a problem to do that on Reddit.
They have these awful thoughts and feelings about their own family and their children, and they're trying to find a place where other people are saying the same things so that they can tell themselves it's not so terrible to feel this way. You shouldn't hate your children. It is wrong to have that emotion. It's possible to have wrong emotions. Like, it's bad to have, you shouldn't feel it. There's something wrong with you, morally. It is morally wrong to have that feeling. The level of anger expressed by most of these people is wrong. Having this kind of disdain for your family is wrong. Venting this kind of stuff doesn't get it off your chest. It's not like opening a window in the bathroom to air out the smell. It's more like a gust of wind on a campfire. All it does is make the flame grow and spread until it's completely out of control.
That's one perspective of it. The other perspective is you put it out there, you put it on the floor, you just let it go there and you continue on, like with the birthday party, continue on, have fun, and later on you look back in the forum and see like who relates to you, or just leave it there. It's just a good woo-saw moment to vent. You have a different perspective of it. I respect it though, but I don't agree with you on that.
And next thing, your whole life is set on fire. And that's what these Reddit forums do. You should realize that this feeling is wrong. It's not normal. It's not okay to feel that way about your children.
I think they sense that though. I think the parents know, but they just need a space to just vent about it in the moment. It's normal to feel frustrated with your kids sometimes. It's normal to have regrets sometimes when it gets really bad. It's all in how you resolve them.
The problem is you. It's not your child. It's you.
It is you though.
Children didn't do anything wrong. You are doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I agree.
You need to fix it.
Yeah.
So sure, go talk to a therapist if you can find a good one. Big if there, but if you can find a good one. Talk to a spiritual advisor, even better. Talk to a priest, talk to a pastor. But after all the talking, it comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You owe it to your child to give him your love.
Yep.
In fact, you owe it to your family to be happy. Happiness is a responsibility, and it is a choice. And right now, you're making a choice that is destroying you and your family. And it will continue to until you stop making it.
I mean, well, let me know what you think about that reaction, and I will see you guys on.
When I told Trump about this, he urged me to get this message out.
I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys. I will see you.